How the rich make money from debt. Have you ever heard this outrageous quote? Poor people fear debt. Rich people are addicted to it. And the more they borrow, the richer they get. Today you will understand, why poor people may never escape poverty if they don't know this truth. If you think debt is what kills your finances, then this video will shock you, because debt is the very tool that helps the rich build money empires. $1,000,000, even $1 billion empires. Just like Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, and even President Trump. And you can do it too, step by step, not just one way, but many. Honestly, it's almost impossible not to get rich, especially once you finish this video and, really understand why Method 15 helped me make $100,000 in just 2 weeks. So, here's the thing. This is the exact breakdown of how millionaires and billionaires use debt to win the financial game. And yeah, you can learn it too, even if you're starting from zero. Method 1 is, use good debt to buy eco assets. Rich people don't borrow money just to consume. They borrow money from banks or use credit cards to buy things like rental properties for cash flow, which is a classic example of good debt in real estate. They also go for dividend stocks, especially in the stock market, and digital products or small businesses. Basically ways to create passive income through digital assets. So for example, let's say a person borrows $2 million to buy a rental property. They end up earning $200,000 per year after interest and taxes, and they're still making about $130,000 per month. Now, here's the thing. While most ordinary folks are afraid of debt, rich people, they're deep thinkers. They see good debt as a tool, a way to generate money and use debt to build assets. This is also a huge part of the main resource that Robert Kiyosaki really emphasized in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Moving on. Method 2 is all about optimizing financial leverage. The rich, they clearly understand loan-to-equity ratios, right? And they often use other people's money, specifically the bank's money. Sometimes they even use your money, and you might not even realize it. Instead of using their own cash, they're leveraging what's available to them. Here's an example. I had only $134,000, but I was able to buy an $850,000 property. Thanks to a 789 credit score, I got approved quickly and secured a low interest rate. Just 2 weeks later, I sold it and made $100,000 in profit. This is a perfect example of how the rich use debt to get richer. Method 3 is reinvest using borrowed money. Instead of using cash, the rich borrow to continue investing and recycling capital. Example. Use a credit card with 0% APR to buy inventory. Then, sell during the 55-day interest-free period. You make 30% profit with no borrowing cost. So here's the golden rule. As long as your profit is greater than the cost of borrowing, it's considered good debt. In fact, debt actually becomes an asset. This is honestly one of the smartest ways debt can create income. Method number 4 is to leverage your relationship with the bank. The wealthy build strong credit trust, and they really take advantage of basic credit card knowledge. Plus, they know exactly when to pay their bills to boost their credit score and raise their FICO. With a high credit score, they increase their borrowing limits, negotiate better interest rates, and unlock perks that are only available to the wealthy. So here's an example. The rich, they use what's called the 15-3 strategy. Basically, they split their payments into two. One payment is made 15 days before the due date, and then another is made 3 days before the due date. Doing this keeps their credit utilization low, and over time, it actually improves their credit score. Here's the key point, folks. With a high FICO score, which is, by the way, the most commonly used credit score in the United States, the rich gain some real negotiating power. Meanwhile, the poor, with low credit scores, they have none. This is also the foundation for understanding how debt works and honestly why credit scores really matter. Method 5 is build a system of premium credit cards. It's not about having just one card, it's about having an entire strategy. According to labor reports, the average American holds 3 to 5 credit cards. Total U.S. personal credit card debt in 2024 is, over $1.2 trillion. So, a smart system, usually includes somewhere between 5 to 10 credit cards. These might be no annual fee cards, cashback cards, travel credit cards, student credit cards, and even beginner credit cards. Having a high total credit limit, well, it really helps reduce your credit utilization rate, and which in turn increases your credit score. Example: billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Michael Bloomberg, and Elon Musk, they actually own powerful credit cards with limits that go up to millions of dollars. Now, just imagine them having 5 of these cards, right? They use them to rotate capital and scale leverage. This is actually how the rich use credit to generate profit and manage their finances. They fully understand how to use credit cards to create efficient cash flow. Method 6 is use 0% APR credit cards to restructure debt. This is something I recently learned, and I'm definitely applying it right away. Turn bad debt into good debt by using 0% APR credit cards to pay off high-interest debt. For example, someone owes $1 million at a 24% interest rate. They transfer it to a 0% APR card for 18 months. That saves over $300,000. This method helps improve your credit score and reduces borrowing costs. It's an effective way to repair your credit after being hit with a repo. Method 7 is invest to reduce taxes through borrowed money. Interest from investment loans can be tax deductible. It's a legal way to avoid paying taxes. For example, a business that borrows $5 million to purchase manufacturing equipment gets a tax deduction plus increased profit margin. My idol, Robert Kiyosaki, once said about debt and taxes are where the rich win. Method 8 is negotiate and take control of your debt. The rich are proactive in contacting banks to request extensions, negotiate interest rates, and ask for penalty waivers. For example, when cash flow gets tight, they call to reschedule payments instead of ignoring it and getting hit with penalties. Financial education helps them understand how to manage debt crises and how to repair credit after a repo. Method 9 is consolidate debt to simplify management. Debt consolidation is a way to use debt to build wealth. It helps control cash flow and save on interest. For example, 3 personal loans are combined into one with a lower interest rate, making it easier to manage and avoiding overlapping debts. Method 10 is take advantage of your credit card's interest-free period. Understand your billing due date, how credit cards work, and the best time to make payments to optimize your statement cycle and manage credit card interest. For example, my credit card has a 55-day interest-free period. The statement date is the 6th of each month, so I make purchases right after the statement date to maximize the full grace period. If you buy on the 26th, you only get about 35 days interest-free. This is essential knowledge for personal financial management. Everyone needs to understand it. Method 11 is, borrow against assets instead of selling them. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, they all use stocks or real estate to borrow money without having to sell their assets. Millionaires borrow money to buy more assets, and then they use those assets to generate more money. That cycle just keeps going, like an automated money-making machine that produces millions of dollars. They keep their assets, avoid taxes. That's how the rich stay rich. Method 12 is use credit for your business. Separate personal and business finances. This helps optimize management and taxes. For example, start a company called ABC. Use business credit to purchase inventory, build your brand, and spend on marketing. All without affecting your personal credit file. When you borrow under your business name, if the company faces risk, that debt does not impact your personal credit score, as long as it's done correctly. This is how the rich use loans as a tool to grow their businesses. All those expenses are legal business expenses, and they can be tax deductible. Method 13 is maximize credit card rewards. The rich know how to get the most out of credit card perks. Cashback, travel miles, travel insurance. For example, let's say someone spends $1 million in a year using a credit card with 2% cashback. That's $20,000 earned without doing anything. The rich use credit cards to pay for business expenses, and the rewards they earn are often enough to cover their entire personal lifestyle for a year. First-class flights, luxury hotels, all for free. Smart spending means spending that pays you back. Method 14 is legally hide assets through debt. So, one way to reduce your legal and tax risk is to set up companies or even trusts and, put your assets under other legal names. For example, let's say an investor buys real estate through a company loan. Their name doesn't actually appear on any personal record, which in turn protects them from lawsuits. This, right here, is the real game of cash flow. An asset generates profit, but interestingly, it doesn't show up under your personal name. Now, just to be clear, this isn't tax evasion. And it's definitely not about hiding illegal wealth. It's simply about separating legal ownership from actual control. Before we get to the most important part, I'd like to ask, out of all 14 strategies above, which one impressed you the most? And hey, have you ever used debt to generate income? And this is strategy 15. If you remember just one thing from this entire wealth journey, let it be this. You can forget the previous 14 strategies, but do not forget this one. Thanks to this, I made $100,000 in just 2 weeks. You can find the detailed video in the description and comments. And if you ask me, or any dollar millionaire or billionaire, if you lost all your money, all your career, what's the one thing you'd want to keep? I'm sure they won't say the house, the car, or the fame. They'll say a high credit score because that is financial power. Gap 0.8 yes. In the United States, your credit score, FICO, is the silent weapon the rich use to control cash flow and scale their wealth. People with high credit scores get approved easily, get large loans, enjoy low interest rates, and access premium perks. People with low scores get rejected, face sky-high interest rates, and are blocked from nearly every opportunity. Here's a real-life example. Someone with a FICO score of 810 can be approved for a mortgage at 3% interest. Now, another person with a 620 score gets the same loan, but at 6 to 7%. The result? The first person saves hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in interest just because they had a higher credit score. This is how the rich play the game. They don't use their own money. They use the bank's money, but they turn it into assets. They don't fear debt because they have the credit score to control the debt. They can negotiate and talk terms with the bank. To sum up, you can be poor, start from zero, have gone bankrupt, or made mistakes. But if you rebuild a strong credit score, you can still borrow back financial power to rebuild everything. This is not just a financial skill. This is the ultimate weapon that 98% of Americans don't understand or completely ignore. So hey, if this content opened your mind, and if you now understand just how important credit is to your wallet, don't miss the next video. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell to get early access to the 25 most important credit questions you must know if you want to become wealthy. 25 most important credit questions you must know if you want to become wealthy. Once I finish that video, I'll leave the link in the description or comments below. Make sure you watch it carefully, because just understanding those 25 things can really help you avoid decades of financial mistakes that 90% of Americans are making. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment below. I'll keep posting more financial wake-up videos like this from a real person with real experiences. No hype, no courses, no textbooks. Hey, share this video with anyone you know who still thinks credit scores are no big deal. Because honestly, one day, when you need to buy a house, or maybe a car, or even borrow to start a business, or simply when you or your family urgently need money, this will be the fastest way to get access to a large sum to solve your problem. That's when you'll realize, it's not really about how much money you have, it's about how much trust you've built to be allowed to borrow money. It's not bad debt, it's how you use debt that makes it bad. That's from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So will you use debt to make money like the rich, or let debt create pressure that holds you back? Choose wisely.